Welcome to Fred Achando Analysis, ladies and gentlemen. Disparate times calls for disparate measures, and my country Kenya is at crossroads. It is headed to political turmoil. The push by Raila Odinga and his allies to vacate William Ruto from State House is gaining momentum by the day. Raila declared official mass action within the country, and they have started these demonstrations in the counties, and wherever they are preaching one message, that Ruto must go. And he is telling them that on 20th of March this year, they must come to Nairobi for the biggest rally. The purpose of this biggest rally in the capital city of Kenya, Nairobi, is still very unique, because Raila Odinga seems to be under siege from his supporters who want him to head straight to State House on that day, to force William Ruto to vacate office, to force him to resign, because they believe that their victory was stolen. But Raila Odinga is cautious of the casualties that might take place on that very day. Now, as this is happening, William Ruto and Raila are also under pressure to sit down and talk for the sake of the peace of the country, because there are those who tell them that there comes a time that Kenya is bigger than both of them. But there is another group of hardliners who are telling Raila Odinga not to sit down with William Ruto. And others from William Ruto are telling William Ruto not to sit down with Raila Odinga. Now Raila has got the masses behind him, and Ruto has got the police behind him. A solution must be found. So President William Ruto has tried to use different mechanisms to counter Raila Odinga, and each of them has failed. He has tried to reach out to him, he has tried to intimidate, he has tried to peddle some lies. It is not working. So recently, the Luo Council of Elders were charged to talk to Raila Odinga. Just listen.
Maneno ya maandamano hakuna faida yoyote. Hata kama nyinyi naungana kwa maandamano, taleta kifo tu, taleta hasara tu kwa biashara yetu ndogo ndogo. Sasa maandamano iko faida gani? Kama wewe unawacha kazi yake, wewe unakwenda andamana, unakwenda kwa maandamano ya nini? Mimi naomba nyinyi kama watoto ya Homa Bay, wachana na maandamano kabisa. Fuata barabara ya maendeleo ya serikali.
Kenya has over 50 tribes, and if we work together, we have National Council of Elders consisting of all tribes. We would like us to live in peace. We would like us to develop as a country, and therefore what can help Kenya is dialogue. We are giving, for example, President Moi and our chairman Raila Odinga, the dialogue they had, and even it was a merger of even parties, it went ahead. This dialogue created unity between our tribes. Raila worked so well with Moi until Moi retired. During Kibaki's time, there was crisis, where even Kofi Annan came into the picture of bringing dialogue in Kenya. Dialogue was there, and President Kibaki and Raila Odinga worked so well and very much peacefully. We saw a lot of development during that time. During the time of Uhuru Kenyatta, there was a lot of disunity when Uhuru started to be the president. But we, as Council of Elders, we encourage the dialogue. and we had several meetings to create peace. It is as a result of dialogue which helped, which gave rise to a handshake between President Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga. They worked so well, and we appreciate. Now it is between Raila Odinga and Ruto. Without a dialogue, Kenya will turn into turmoil. There will be a lot of chaos, which will disrupt the economy of Kenya. Our children need employment. If we are divided, we will not get all those benefits. We are appealing and making very special appeal.
The message by the Luo Council of Elders is a two-edged sword. On one side, they are threatening that if people go for the maandamanos, then they will die. They are simply saying that the police will kill the people on the streets. Yet the last time I checked, the freedom of picketing is one that is entrenched in our constitution, and I don't know why they feel that people will die in the process. But some of the Raila supporters are saying that if death will liberate Kenya, so let some die, so that the rest who will remain will enjoy the fruits of their death. The other side of this story is that they are begging, and I listened to one of the members of the Luo Council of Elders there, who sounds a bit sober, because he's giving us a historic chronology of how they brokered a truce between the former president Daniel Moi and Raila Odinga, and they merged their parties together. Then came Mwai Kibaki, and he says they also played the same role where Raila Odinga and Kibaki worked together, and then Uhuru Kenyatta, who had a handshake with Raila Odinga. So according to that member, he feels that this is another time when William Ruto and Raila Odinga should come together and shake hands. Now, this is a very hot topic. It is hot potato. There are those who do not want to hear anything about a roundtable talk. Those from William Ruto's side feel that William Ruto won fair and square, and Raila just wants to intimidate him for a handshake, and they don't want to listen to it. Those who are supporting Raila Odinga are saying that a handshake will damage Raila Odinga like it did with Uhuru Kenyatta, where he forgot his people, quote in quotes, because Raila has always been seen to stand with the people when the idea is unpopular, talking on behalf or talking for the downtrodden and the weak. But there are those who believe it is time to talk. So, ladies and gentlemen, let us face the reality. There are two things here that I want us to look out for. One, dialogue will bring a short-term peace, a short-term truce, because it will mean that William Ruto and Raila Odinga will sit together, and Raila will tell him, the following are my demands. And then they can agree on some and disagree on some, and they will be told that you cannot have everything. And then they will shake hands, not possibly working together like it was seen in the Uhuru Raila handshake. But then maybe things to do with the cost of living, subsidies, and maybe the electoral commission of Kenya, and where they want to appoint them. That might happen. And there will be peace for some times, maybe for the rest of William Ruto term. It is good when people have peace. But then, the permanent solution of the problems that have been bedeviling the nation will not be curbed. Electoral malpractice is one that has always continued despite handshakes and talks. And there are people who believe that this is the time when Raila must get it right, because if he doesn't, he will have left the Azmio team in quagmire. Because if it is Raila who wants to contest in 2027, or he wants to hand over the leadership to maybe Paranya, Kalonzo, and Martha Karua and that team, he must ensure that he convinces and persuades his people that he is not a walkover. Because the narrative as it is in Kenya today is that rob him of his victory, get sworn in, and then start the talks with the status quo. What is the status quo here? The status quo is that a president has been announced, so that as you talk, Raila speaks as a civilian. yet the one who has taken oath speaks as a president with authority. And people feel that if he talks and goes for handshake, then come 2027, they will be robbed of their victory, and he will take that cycle again of taking people to the street again, round and round. Some are dying. Some feel that let us have a permanent solution. Let us go for it once and for all, so that it can be an example so that we can set an example even to the next elections, to the next leaders, so that even other African nations can emulate what we're doing. Because as it stands, ladies and gentlemen, there are experts who are still asking. I heard Ngwini Mutai quoting Raila that Ruto must go. Go where? That is what he was asking, because everyone is puzzled. What is the end game of these rallies and the mass actions? Because I know that it is taking a turn to boycotting certain goods and services, maybe economic sabotage, things like that. But some people feel that this cannot force Ruto out of office. There are Raila supporters, diehard supporters, who believe that they must remove Ruto. They don't even care about the consequences and the process. All they want to hear is, we want him out of office. So I don't know which way. Do we go for a short-term, peaceful way? This way out where they talk and reach out some solutions, and there will be peace for the rest of the 5 years, so that we get to our elections again when we are not very sure? Or do people go full throttle, where we have running battles with the police and the ordinary mwananchi, where we have live bullets and some are dying in the process? History has shown that you can kill over 200 or 500,000 people, but you can never remain in office. So that is the precarious situation that William Ruto and Raila Odinga find themselves in. I'm sure that William Ruto might not want a situation where the police opens fire into a crowd, masses of maybe 1 million people trying to gain entry into State House. Because just the other day, you saw Kithure Kindiki came out and said that there are places that have been protected, and whoever tries to gain forceful entry will be dealt with decisively. So it's very, very difficult, ladies and gentlemen. Raila Odinga, and I want to tell you this, it is very difficult to be a Raila today, because he carries the weight of over 8 million people behind him, on his back. People who want to hear nothing but to get Ruto out of office. But Raila is a senior in politics. He has been there before. He knows what can happen. So even as he approaches this, he knows what is good for his supporters. I have maintained that in his quest to reach Canaan, he wants to reach Canaan with everybody. He does not want to reach Canaan with a half of the people, so that when they are in Canaan, it is a mixture of joy and mourning. Because let's say, for example, if they gain entry into State House and maybe 1 million people have been killed, we have 7 million who still follow him. So they are there in jubilation that they have ousted William Ruto. But then we've got families, over 1 million families, mourning. Democratically, it will be good, but socially, it is something that will haunt them forever. So this is the situation where Raila finds himself in. But one thing I know, Raila had said that if you open that server, then they will talk. I don't know what is so difficult in opening the server. Sometimes, even if you are to judge, if this was a case in the court of the public opinion, one would wonder, why can't we just open this server so that we put this matter to rest? Whoever won, continue ruling. It makes me feel that something is wrong somewhere. And if William Ruto wants to talk to Raila Odinga, why can't he drive to Karen? Because I'm sure if William Ruto drives to Karen, tells the security that I want to talk to Raila Odinga, I know Raila will not refuse, even though he will tell him, let me go and consult my people. So ladies and gentlemen, we are in a very precarious situation. Kenya is in political turmoil. I don't know what will happen, but from what you see going around, it is not very easy. I don't know what to think, but that is my take.